Welcome to the SDA Housing Podcast, brought to you by NDIS Property Australia. Before starting this episode, we need to provide a general disclaimer. Information contained in this podcast is general in nature only. It does not take into account the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. You need to consider your financial situation and needs before making any decisions based on the information in this podcast. And you should consider seeking independent and professional advice for your personal circumstances. All right, let's begin.
Hello, everybody. My name is Minh, and I'm your host from NDIS Property Australia, and you listen to the SDA Housing Podcast. Show explains, highlights, guides, and brings awareness about all things SDA in this ever-changing NDIS world. Today, we have a special guest speaker, Bill from the Fire Night in Brisbane. Bill, welcome.
Thank you. Very nice to be here.
Mate, appreciate you coming to our office for this interview. First of all, you're here because we believe that you have a fantastic product that the market needs from a NDIS, SDA point of view. And our listeners have no idea what the Fire Night is, but I want to ask you the question. Who are you, Bill, and what is the Fire Night?
The Fire Night is a revolutionary company. We have developed, we've designed, we have spent the last 5 years in development with a huge team to bring to the world, to the market, what no one has ever seen with fire suppression. Fire suppression might seem like a very boring thing to listen to, and truly with the technology available previous to us, it is very boring. If a fire ignites in your home, you have to find a fire extinguisher. If a fire ignites in your home, you generally run. That's what they tell you to do. Run, duck, roll, get out of the property. Save whatever you can, mainly yourself. What we've done is we've enhanced that to make it you don't need to worry about it. We take care of it from there. Our systems are self-sufficient. They're self-sustained. They install easily. They sit on your roof. They look fantastic. Once it detects a fire, it will activate. Once it activates, it goes back to an alert system, goes back to the software, goes to your mobile app, tells you if fires have been detected or a gas has been detected, and it goes off. Our demonstrations have shown that we have a suppression rate of 100% in the early activation.
Cool. But my question to you, Bill, is, when someone has a house, they have a fire sprinkler, they have some blankets, they have a fire extinguisher. Surely that's enough for that kind of house. Do they need to worry about or consider the Fire Night products as an additional layer of safety in their home, given all those things in place already?
The fire sprinklers do the job. They do a job, but your ceiling needs to be on fire for that to happen. Traditional fire sprinklers work off a bulb. It's a pressurized line. The fire sprinkler sits in that line. Once the bulb melts, the water comes out. The water can't stop until fire emergency turn it off. So you have a flooding issue. That's the second issue. Primary issue is the fire needs to hit the ceiling or get hot enough. So it's got to be 80 degrees before it activates itself, which means 80 degrees, your home is on fire. It's generally at that point, it's very late in the process. Our systems don't work that way. Our systems detect a true fire, a true flame, and a true threat. Once they see that, they detect it. The parameters of all of our sensors work together to say, yes, that's a real fire. It's a real threat. It activates itself.
Okay. So, Bill, let's hold right there. There's a lot of technical information you've given to our listeners here at the moment. I want to pull it back a little bit. What was the vision of the Fire Night product to begin with? How did this begin, and why? Why are we here talking about this product to begin with? Tell me more, the history here.
Years ago, we were watching the black fires that Australia had, and I was actually watching a live feed from a lady in Los Angeles going through the bushfires there, and she was crying, and she was driving down the mountain, fire all around surrounded her, and she was crying. We were all crying for her, just wanting her to get out alive. And truly, after that night, I thought, we can get ships into space. We can fly from one country to another with technology. It's incredible. But we have nothing to deal with today's threats. And these are genuine threats. These are nature, accidental. They're threats. The fires are caused by anything. And as much as we don't want to think it, just a little incident can create something major. Being a cigarette drops on the ground, or you're cooking, or a little flame, or a candle, anything can trigger these events. So we went and developed what we call the finite. The finite with all the systems. The Guardian, for example, is the big outdoor system. That system will sit anywhere in the world. It stores its own fluid, and you can control it from anywhere in the world. And it can sit anywhere. You have full control. You got full visuals. If a fire is detected, the system activates. You can activate it remotely, full software controlled, app controlled. So we developed that. And today it still surprises me why all these people we've spoken to over the years that have been in the industry for so many years have never seen anything or heard anything like this. And my simple explanation is it's genuinely like showing somebody today's technology 30 years ago. Making people understand what we have done is fascinating. It's fantastic. It works. It does its job. You don't need to be hands-on. You can be hands-on if you want to. You can activate this thing from your app. You can control it from your app. If you know there's a fire in your home, turn it on. You don't need to sit there and wait for the house to burn down before you get help. We're here to help you.
Gotcha. My limited experience of this topic of fire, Bill, hearing stories, seeing stories in the NDIS world, which are all disabled people. They can't really run out quickly enough. I heard a story once where a carer was looking after 3 people in a home, and they were playing how to cook. And nothing happened really other than the fact that there was a lot of smoke. And that smoke triggered the fire sprinkler, and the fire sprinkler just flooded the house totally. And they had to move out of the house for a month to get the whole thing repaired of water damage. And God knows, the logistics of moving out, bringing traders in, fixing it all up, just whatever has to happen. That was a nightmare for this particular care provider service who had to move them out for a month for repairs. Now, if we have the fire night as an alternative example or there as well, it's a quick suppression.
That's right.
Experience.
It's limited water. It doesn't plug into any water mains. It has its own water level there. Its own system is there ready to go. So even if it does go up, it's not going to flood your home.
So how many liters of liquid or water is in the device above the kitchen?
15 liters.
15 liters.
And it's stored in a very compact system.
Mm-hmm.
It's designed to have enough fluid in there to deal with the threat of its size. So, and even our videos, as you'll see the videos, its effectiveness is great. I mean, you don't need to flood a home to get rid of a fire. Yes, you do. If it's a fire sprinkler, you have no choice because the fire's already blazing. But our idea is to get the fire before it gets to you.
So in a typical 4-bedroom house, Bill, how many of these devices, or the fire night device, should be around the house?
Well, each device covers 6.5 by, say, 6.5 meters. So if you said one in the kitchen, one in each bedroom, one in the living room.
One in each bedroom?
Well, potentially. The threat areas where you feel is a threat. The main area, living bedroom area, you may just want one in there, the hallway, the kitchen.
Because usually in a disability environment, you got a small female carer who cannot physically move all people out at the same time. And all these bedrooms are near each other in a hallway. You'd think that the fire night product would be pretty much hallway place. That's not. So one in the hallway, one in the kitchen. That's a minimum, I think.
Look, as an emergency sort of rule, anywhere that you feel a threat is going to happen, that's where you'd have it. Kitchens, yes. Living rooms, possibly. Bedrooms. High-risk areas.
Would a fire begin in the living room for you to worry about?
Depends. People smoke. People have candles. Accidents happen. Things electrical fires.
Yeah.
Fireplaces. These sort of things that we don't expect. There's no set rule where a fire is going to start.
So, is it Australian-made? I think there's a yes-ish, no-ish answer here. So,
another point is, as we all know, and I'm not going to get into history and politics, but I will. 30, 40 years ago, we allowed China to come and take over our local manufacturing. It caused a lot of issues, a lot of jobs, a lot of factories shut down, a lot of major brands shut down. And our simple answer to that was, they went broke. So, well, no, they didn't have help from the imported products you can buy. I mean, you can buy a T-shirt from China for $5, but they're selling it here for $100. You're reducing the workload for that one T-shirt. You might have 50 people running a factory to make that shirt, but now you're not. You've got one person who makes a phone call to order that in. So I stand strong with what happened back then. So my belief is every product will be built in each country. So we developed it here, we tested them here. They will be built for our country here. In America, they'll be built in America. And admittedly, look, some parts we do buy offshore, but because we source the best products and the best components worldwide.
Gotcha. Great. That's good news. But again, irrelevant because safety is all that matters here, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So you've been out to market research, market collaboration, discussions. How has the feedback been on a high level about your product? And who are you talking to out there in the last year or 2 years about this concept product of the firing line to help Australians be aware that, normal home will probably need this, disability home. And in fact, any home will probably need this. Every home will need it. What's the feedback from all your connections and circles that you've been running around with? And and if it's all great, why is there not been any active rollout of product yet, or just timing here?
We're just rolling out now. We're starting. The last year and a half, we did a lot of market research to get a feel of how the market was going to treat it, what people thought of it, make people understand it. We had a fantastic, and to be honest, there is not one person I've spoken to or my team has spoken to that have not been fascinated and want this product.
So there's no critics out there?
Never.
Great. Because the price is right?
It is.
Can you tell us what the rough price will end up being to the retail buyer?
Each system is around about the 5,500 retail.
Now, no one's holding you to that because obviously we know that delivery, transportation, installation, that will affect the end price. But from a retail perspective, it's about 5,500-ish, give or take, a few $100, I assume. Yeah. So in a way, it's affordable, isn't it? Very affordable.
It is, considering what it does. And as I said, it doesn't just do that alone. It'll tell you if it detects a gas in your home, if it detects a heat signature that's not supposed to be there, it'll alert you. So you have an app, mobile app, as well as a desktop app, that you can have a back-to-base command as well. The back-to-base command can be, if this happens, we want you to do this, like a smoke alarm, for example, or a burglar alarm. If these activate, it goes back to base, and back to the base actually have a protocol or a command to do certain things. So, and our systems work the same way. You can set it that way. The advantage of our systems as well, as I said before, the app notifies you. You could, if you have 5 in a home, you can log into the app and you can activate anyone or pre-soak the area if you want to.
Yeah. Have you spoken to many builders around Australia on this topic?
We have spoken to several builders, and all seem to love it. Whether we're going to channel that directly or whether we're going to look for distributors in certain areas, because we're not trying to be that shop. We're trying to be, we are the finite. We will have distributors and we'll distribute to that. NDIS, we feel that NDIS, it's a major need. If you have somebody with a disability that cannot move, let's say the carers are sleeping, or let's say the carers aren't there at that time, something happens, and you want protection. It's like having that 24-hour security guard.
I want to throw a comment here. If participants are sleeping and the house goes up in flames, there is no obligation for a carer to help anyone because they're not trained for fire emergency. They physically cannot move. Someone who's bariatric, overweight, or sleeping, they can't move them. Bill, let me ask you a question. How long does it take from start to engulfing the whole house?
Seconds, so quick.
Oh, surely you exaggerate, Bill. Surely.
Definitely.
Maybe a minute? Was it 5 minutes?
No. Look, we actually did demonstration. We have Halliwell engineers. Halliwell are the research department for a lot of insurers. They're the ones that will go to court for you. They're the ones that'll forensically investigate a fire.
Yep.
We've had them come and witness, and they actually asked us, they said, look, with one of the tests, would you mind lighting a Christmas tree on fire? Which we did. That Christmas tree, and I always question, why would you want to start a fire on a Christmas tree? Because Christmas trees are the fastest, I suppose, catching product that will catch light and spread, which it did. When we ran that video, within seconds, that Christmas tree lit up. Within seconds after that, the whole room just filled with smoke. Where we even had, the room was partially open, so we had fully ventilation, but we had to leave because the smoke was that strong. So to me, I've never been in a fire. I don't want to be in a fire, but I can assure you if I was sleeping and that had happened, I wouldn't have woken up.
Because smoke, inhalation.
That's right. It'll just not.
If you're sleeping and there's a fire, the smoke you inhale will not wake you up.
No, that's right. That's right. And you can potentially die from that, and then you've got the issue with the fire.
Yes.
So, where you have the smoke causing that, I mean, as I said, the fire alarms are great. The technology is wonderful. It kicked off how many years ago? Fantastic. But it doesn't do anything. It alerts you. And truly, I've slept through a lot of alarms before. And again, there's got to be from when the alarm goes off to when you actually wake up. If the smoke's intense, you're not going to get up. It's not going to happen.
Yes, exactly. I want to follow back to the topic of fire sprinkler, Bill. Environmentally safe? Yes, no? How? Talk to me.
It's water.
Yeah.
Our system, our recommendation. Well, our system is a water-based system, but you can use any chemical you want as long as it's a water-based fluid. We recommend a product called F500 to be mixed with our system. Not because we're promoting F500, but we're promoting the fact that it's eco-friendly, environmentally friendly, and it's not going to do any harm.
Gotcha. Now, I've seen the video on your website, and I saw the hole being cut out in the ceiling above the kitchen area, and it gets hoisted up or carried up and installed up there. It looks a little bit complicated, does it? Or was it very easy to install? Yeah.
Very, very easy to install. The system comes with an electronic hoist system. Because it does weigh, once it's full, weighs over 30 kilos. The hoist system's there to help in installation. So basically, you cut a hole into your ceiling, you place the system gets mounted up there, gets screwed in, activated, faceplate goes on, makes it look fantastic, and she's ready to go. And that's it. Servicing, once every 5 years, but the system is sold to last 15, 20 years because it's a solid stainless steel.
Sure. If there was a critic out there of this product, Bill, what is a negative of this product?
There is none. And I challenge any critic to ask that question. I'll challenge anything.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you, but it's a great product. I love it. I was just trying to find a reason why someone would say no to buying a product like this.
The difference between us and let's say a sprinkler system. People will ask the question, does it replace sprinkler systems? No, it doesn't, because it's not a mandated product. It's not something the government said, like a fire sprinkler or a smoke alarm. It's not mandated. I mean, maybe one day it will be. The technology is there. The government might take a while to do it. Well, I'm sure they will, because it's a smarter idea to genuinely have the product there to prevent a spread of a fire and try to control the fire at an early stage, as opposed to waiting for the house to engulf in flames before it goes off. And again, I'll repeat, it's not going to replace a sprinkler system. It's not going to give you the approval that everyone wants. Everyone wants to get out the cheap way, not putting sprinkler systems in, but they have to. This is an aid. It's an aid. It's going to do a better job, a quicker job than a sprinkler's going to do.
I want to add also, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's audit. There's compliance and annual audit of the sprinkler system, which costs about $5,000-6,000 a year alone just to have everything in place. That's number one. If it were to go off a fire sprinkler, there's the excess claims for insurance. That's number two. And if there was a trigger and it was flooding the house, you'd have to move out. And the cost of relocation, there's another cost there, 3. So yes, we know that this is not a replacement of fire sprinkler. However, fire sprinklers are subject to water pressure on that location, Bill, correct?
Yes.
Explain to our listeners why water pressure is an important part to qualify to actually get installation of a fire sprinkler product. And therefore, as a result, for those houses that are not in the qualified water pressure locations, this is the next best thing.
Oh, that's right. And again, it's not, you need the fire pressure, the water pressure. You need the water pressure to run through the sprinklers. So if you haven't got that, then you need to have a pump system set up to increase that water pressure. If you haven't got water pressure, it's like having a hose turned on low. Nothing's going to happen. Your water's just going to just come out slowly. Nothing's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think our product, although everyone likes doing the comparison with the fire sprinkler, it's really not. It's something you really can't compare it to, because again, the fire sprinkler itself isn't a smart system.
Yeah. With builders, when they install different products, they do their markup. So I want to say to everyone listening, look, if you're buying this product from a builder, it won't cost $5.5, probably end up being $8 or $9 because they want to add their margins. That's just normal business for them, yeah? So bear that in mind. However, I think, the reason why you're here today, Bill, is for us to help spread awareness about this awesome, wonderful product that's Australian made, particularly for the NDIS sector, because there are so many houses out there, both brand new and also normal old houses that are being used for group homes which are 6-7 people living together in one house, which also brings, concern for safety, fire safety. Important to have some level of protection for someone. And I'm sure every parent who has a child in a house, a group home like that, they want to know that they're safe, and it's not if, but when a disaster happens that this will then come at the forefront of the newspapers. Why wasn't there fire safety? Why did anyone have a backup plan here? So I want to call out to someone in the industry, Bruce Bromley from SDA Consulting. He's a very big fire safety advocate, and I also want to introduce you to him, Bill, Mr. Bruce Bromley in Melbourne, because he will be definitely one who definitely promote your product out there to marketplace, because he's a SDA assessor as well. And we need more people in the industry who understands, appreciates, and will collaborate with everyone in the fire world or fire safety world to ensure that safety for participants are most important here. So I'd love to introduce you to him one day, Bill.
Love it.
Is there anything we haven't covered so far in our session so far that you want to cover now?
Look, the other main factors as well. We also added a camera into the systems. So what will happen?
A camera in the system.
Yep.
In the device looking down.
Right.
Okay.
So in the faceplate looking down, it's a still image camera. It's not going to take a video of you, but it'll take a picture of the event before it actually activates. So once all the parameters meet, sense parameters meet, activates a solenoid to start the system. But before that happens, it will take a picture, so you'll see where that fire started.
Gotcha.
You would just both for insurance costs.
Sure. Speaking of insurance, do they actually offer discounts on insurance premiums if there is things like this?
It's a great question, and that you've brought it up. That will be the next thing we actually do. We'll approach the insurance companies and put it on them now to say, this is what we're going to do. So what have you used something about?
Have you spoken to anyone yet?
No.
Do you have contacts to?
No.
Oh, what we can introduce you to some people.
We'll love it.
Yeah, brokers who are very active in the insurance world here. But the point is this, everyone who's listening, and also you, Bill, we do know that there are SDA providers in Australia who will not touch a house unless it has a fire sprinkler.
Yep.
Now, hopefully, I think this product should be a happy medium to allow providers to feel comfortable with installing several of these in the house to give comfort to everyone there.
I think so. I think it's more, again, it's not something that if it's a government mandated policy and they need to have a sprinkler system, we're not arguing with you. Go and do it. But if you're looking for safety, you're looking for protection, and you're looking to care for people, you need to have this.
Okay, my next question is, Bill, when a customer puts an order in via the distributor, whoever it is, middleman, what's the process logistics from order taken, deposit paid, and assembly, delivery, installation? What do you see the time frame for that?
30 days. We will quote anything for 30-day manufacture. All systems are built to order. So whether we order one, we order 100, it's that timeline of 30 days. We deliver to where it needs to be delivered to, and then as far as installation, a handyman can do it. It's not a complicated install.
But Bill, you're cutting the hole out of the ceiling. The installation process would be what, 4 or 5 hours?
20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Yep.
Cutting a hole, hoisting it up, plugging it in.
And if you're going to get a plumber to do it, don't. They're going to charge you too much money, so you end up getting a handyman to do it.
Gotcha.
That was a bit of a joke with the plumbers because we know how much they charge. But yeah, you don't. You get a handyman, and a handyman should not. Honestly, it'd be no more than 20 minutes to half an hour to put it up.
Yeah, gotcha.
And if it takes longer, but it's an hour, if that. So it's
okay. I think we've pretty much covered this, Bill. I mean, this is enough for a bit of a teaser for our listeners who do not have, and I can assure you, 99% of people who've invested in housing for NDIS, for participants, do not have fire sprinklers. here's my question. There you go. This is what I now remember what I went blank on. Retrofitting a house, a brand new house, 2-3 years old, to have a fire sprinkler. Right, so let's go backwards here. If you were to order a fire sprinkler for a brand new build, installation, I'm guessing the cost is between 40 to 70 grand charged by the builder to install that fire sprinkler system into a brand new house. Post completion of a house, retrofitting it to a fire sprinkler, I'm guessing costs 100 grand. That's my guess. Now, do you have any comments on the costs of this pre?
To be honest, we've researched the costs over the years, and to be honest, it makes no sense. I mean, if you look at some articles, you say, yeah, it costs you, $2 a meter. This is not going to happen. But when you actually get down to it, you're hearing costs of 50,000, 100,000. It's a very expensive process. But the point you brought up before, when a fire does happen, what happens next? What are your costs? You're moving out, you're waiting, the insurance investigators have got to check it, the police have to check out, maybe everyone's got to make sure everything's kosher, and then you've got to go to the rebuild. So what's that downtime costing you? What rent are you losing in it? So with our system, if we get to the fire first, it's a cleanup. You go and clean it up, maybe a bit of damage repair, you're up and you're living there again. It's not going to cause that interruption.
Yes. Okay. I think we're done here, Bill. This is enough information for our listeners who know. We all know the importance of fire safety. It's a given fact. It's common sense. But for whatever reason, they weren't told about its fire safety as a part of a home for disability homes, or they couldn't afford fire sprinklers, or they can't afford the retrofit process. I think this is the only solution or backup plan to fire safety if you don't have a fire sprinkler. If you can afford a fire sprinkler, go for your life, go nuts, right? But that's 100 grand right there. This is $5,000-ish, $6,000. Let's be honest. And there's no reason to say no. I'll make it very clear, Bill. Tell me if I'm right or wrong here. There's no reason to say no to this product.
No, definitely not. And as I said, I mean, how many listeners do you have?
We've had 75,000 downloads the last 3 years.
Okay, well, I'm not going to answer all those questions. But any questions, anyone wants to get on live, talk to me. I'm happy to go live and talk to anybody about it and explain to them how it does and how it works.
I think, Bill, a good idea would be for Debbie and I to do a webinar on Zoom with you in 2 months' time and invite an audience. And the audience is builders, developers, architects, designers, assessors, providers, other fire safety experts, just to come and watch and see your 45 minutes of visual presentation of images of just to see how to spread the word and hear about it.
Love it.
If we can do that, they'll just create more opportunity, more inquiry, and more distributors, obviously. Because I think you should have a distributor in every state of Australia here, because this is a concept which is now an actual product, which is now rolling out. The more people talk about this, the more safe the world becomes for our disability world. The heck, it doesn't have to be disability. It could be a normal young family here.
Yeah.
Could be, if you're a landlord, here's an example. If you're a landlord and you have people who are smoking in your house, you can't stop them from smoking.
No.
But you can suppress a fire.
Yeah.
At a cost of 6 to 12 grand for 2 devices to ensure that your house will never ever burn down. Well, I hope it shouldn't burn down, I guess, yeah. Bill, any final words of advice from you about the topic of fire safety before we begin our support of your products and networking to let people know about this? Yeah,
I think my advice is, fires are dangerous, and it doesn't matter how you want to spread the word, what you want to say. Again, I haven't been in one. I have, through the testing process of our systems, I've walked in one. I've been saturated with this fluid. I have had smoke inhalation, and I can tell you, I never would like to go through that process. Anyone who's been through it, you hear it. People have died, from fires here. That often, but it's something that happened to anyone. You don't necessarily have to just be a special person. You could be anyone. Fires can happen anywhere. Look what happened in Los Angeles just recently. A whole city nearly burnt down. I mean, it's dangerous.
Before we finish, Bill, I've got 2 more points to raise. One's legal. One is also fire alarm. If a fire alarm goes off, which is from the smoke, no fire. Oh, it's fire alarm. People have intellectual disabilities, able-bodied people can run out the door when they smell smoke. That's just common sense. However, we're talking about disability here. Whether they're wheelchair-bound, cannot get out, or they are with the flashing, the noise going off around the whole house, they might just want to go under the bed and hide there because they're just afraid.
Of course.
That's just their reaction. That is also an issue here as well. So don't think just having a fire alarm and a blanket and a fire sprinkler is going to be, because I remind everyone here, a carer or person on site is under no legal obligation to help anyone out the door because they're not trained for that.
And you got to remember, everyone can say they would do this, they would do that in a scenario. I've heard how many times you hear people, oh, if I had someone do this, I would do this. Well, unless you've been in that situation, you don't know what you do.
Yeah.
And I can assure you that everyone's reaction is going to be different. We can all want to be heroes. We can all say, yes, we're going to do this. We're going to save the pets. We're going to go grab this. We're going to go grandma. We're going to grab the kids. Well, we don't know because you know what? Reality is, like you said, it's not a planned event. It just happens. You wake up to a massive flame in your home. Your first reaction is,
right,
what do? I don't know. I'm confused.
Yeah.
So you can't blame anyone for not helping.
Yeah.
You can't blame anyone.
Yeah. From a legal point of view, this is what my important point here. I had a discussion with Rob, a good friend of mine in the Indian world, 3.5 years ago, and there were lawyers already talking about the concept of fire safety, fire sprinklers. Should they be mandatory part of a house for indoor disability homes here? And one of the lawyers in Melbourne said, if a person builds a house and it's for a commercial purpose, being a rental property for disability home for participants, there is legal grounds for someone who dies in a fire and their family suing the landlord, full stop.
And this is where you have to look at your liability issue. I mean, you might have a faulty wiring system, an appliance. There's a liability issue. It doesn't matter where. At the end of the day, someone needs to be held responsible for certain things. So, and like I said, it may not just be a cigarette or coming from a live fire in the kitchen or a fireplace. It could be a fire starting from an electrical item that's faulty, that maybe the landlord supplied, or maybe the landlord didn't have the electrician check off on a certain outlet. Maybe something happened. I mean, ultimately, these things do happen, and it's out of our control. As I said, no one wants a fire. No one expects a fire. We don't expect to wake up to having this disaster around us. We don't expect that.
Yeah.
I mean, and like I said, what we do is, while our system's there in front of that area, it will protect you.
Yes.
And if it doesn't, it'll at least slow it down enough to give you a chance to get out.
And buy time,
And buy time.
Sure.
And alert the authorities too.
Oh, one question. So does the alarm, the app, link back to authority?
That's the command center. It's got the ability to go to a command center.
Sure.
Or we can offer the maintenance package as well, which is that if one of the alerts goes off, we'll ring you and say, are you okay? Is this, we'll follow protocol.
Sure.
I mean, but we do have the option where our software can connect to a command center, whereas the command center gets the alerts.
Yeah, wonderful. Bill, before we finish, I want to ask you, what is the website and how can people read more, see more information about this product?
We have, two websites. We've got the fireKnight.com.
Can you spell that, please?
TheFireKnight.com and the fireknight.com.au.
Oh, so it's just an AU difference.
AU. So we've got two websites. So we've covered the whole world, except for EU.
Yeah, gotcha. Mate, I think it's great that you've come in the office here to talk about this. I'd love to introduce you to some people like some designers, assessors, and some builders as well to talk to you about this. And also, I'd love to, do a webinar video with some people with you, just to record it once and put it online YouTube, and then that way people can watch more, see the visuals. This is a great podcast topic here to open the door on this topic. But I think a video interview with you with showing images and videos as well to an audience would be great to spread the awareness. Because once we've done this, Bill, people will start listening about it, and word will spread about this as well. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Bill.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Pleasure being here.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you are subscribed and following us so you can keep in the loop with all of our upcoming episodes. We would really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star rating, a written review, and to share this podcast with those that could benefit. Until next time, catch you on the next episode.